And good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome on into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, aka Luke, and I'm a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. What does that mean? Well, it means we do everything from 3D printer assemblies and modifications, like on our Flying Bear Reborn 2 here, or full-up printer builds like our Tridents, Vorons, to prototype machines like the Mercury 1 0G fully enclosed that's still in a beta session, some Trad Rack, and some other things. Welcome on in, everybody. It's good to see some familiar faces. Sorry for being a couple minutes late onto the stream. I was getting ready to hit go and it dawned on me I never put my my eye drops in today for my midday. I got to do them 3 times a day. So I had to run downstairs real fast and get some eye drops in to help out post-surgery. So glad to see everybody here. We got 491 Phantom, Kit Skyfire, Shadell, welcome in. Pez Liz, how's it going? Pink 3DP, Pez Liz bullied you here. Did it really take a lot of bullying though, Pink? I mean, did it? Looks like you still have time to run out to the mailbox. Yeah, so talking about the mailbox, I am waiting on Amazon. I have a couple of other things that are supposed to arrive tomorrow, though they seem to have been stalled on getting me any updates today. So we'll see. But we did get something new in the mail today. And that would be, and I'm going to fight the lights. But, I wonder. Shut off that. There we go. Maybe. So this is a new tumbler that I got from Subsector today. Got my logo on it, pretty much large size that it'll go. This will be something new that you may see me drinking out of on show. This will most likely be just water and not coffee. So now turn that back on because I'm going to need it. And speaking about coffee, yes. Cheers, everybody. We've got coffee. Mrs. Dragon is going to be here in a few minutes with more coffee from Duncan. So, hey, Shenanigans, how's it doing, my friend? How are you doing today? We're working on your cocoa press right now. I got spare parts, and the X-Max was broken when I took it all apart. That can explain a few things, Pez. It really could. Hey, Nick, how's it going? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. So today's a weekday stream. It's Tuesday after all. So that means that we're going to be back to working on the Annex Engineering K3, which so far it's kind of nice because I just realized you can't see the printer sitting right here. Normally our printers are sitting like right up here and I have to like lean on them or do something like that. But yeah, this one actually sits a little bit lower. Welcome on in, Creatix Britt. How are you doing today, my dear? Hope you're doing well. Is that the lurky turkey already? Go Beyond Plus Ultra? Oh, yeah. So we've been working on the Annex Engineering K3. We've been making some good progress. We got our 4 motor mounts installed. And the way it works, well, once again, here's our tab. So this is the front of the machine. So, yes, these 2 motors are built the same way and these 2 motors are built the same way. So what you're going to have is you'll have one belt that'll come from the drive pulley here through a tooth idler here and back. So that is a short run. Then you're going to have another one that goes from this drive pulley through this idler and back. And these two motors drive your y-axis. So it's going to drive this axis right here, going forward and back. But you're doing it with two motors, so they're sharing the load, and they're very short belt runs, right? Where in a standard Core XY, you have one belt that goes the full length around the printer. You're basically doing a Y motor with two motors and two belts. So you need a lot less torque and stress on each motor. However, if you have torqueier motors and you throw a lot of voltage to them, you can make it go really, really, really fast if your hot end can keep up. So, hey Zombie, how's it going? Welcome on in. Yeah, so we got our motor mounts on and we started installing what we refer to as the party plate. So the party plate, kick this up here, is this printed part that basically locks into both of the X and the Y carriages. Now right now we just have it installed on the Y carriage, and the X carriage is kind of just sitting there. There's no screws in it, but you'll notice it pretty much is locked in almost already. There's really good print tolerance to get a good squish between these two rails. And what we're going to start doing is building up our tool head around the party plate. And we'll start by adding fans and then our hot end. Then we'll add on our tool head board, which is pretty interesting. So this is the tool head board. This side faces down, this side faces up. It's going to mount right through here. You'll have your Sherpa Mini extruder will sit right on it, and your filament's physically going through the hole in this board into your hot end. So it's a pretty interesting little setup, and it's going to provide a very rigid mount for the overall tool head and get all of your connections for your probe, your fans, your motors, and all that stuff are going to be really close to the actual parts. And then we'll have one multi-pin, what is that, 16-pin connector that'll go from this board to a board that'll mount on the back side of the printer here, and an umbilical, kind of like you would see, or like we did on the V02 build where we had the Pico umbilical. That's kind of what we're going to be doing here. So yeah, making some good progress on this build. We're starting to make some good progress on the 2.4 build as well. I'm semi-debating whether I work on Chewy's 2.4 this Saturday, or if we take a break and do mine, or wait and we'll work on some upgrades to mine in a week or two when I go on my annual shutdown with the company. We take 2 weeks off and the whole company shuts down, and that way they can shut down all the power and everything. And when that happens, I may be streaming a little bit more than usual. So up to and including the tolerance level of Mrs. Dragon. When she threatens to kick me out or start destroying printers, I'll stop. Everyone is getting pizza for supper. I am not getting pizza for supper. There's very few places where I can get pizza now where it agrees with me because of my gastric bypass surgery. I'm going to set this down on the ground for just a minute, because where we're going to start off next is actually prepping a couple of parts with some heat set inserts. Let me switch over to that window. You're going to pay close attention to this part today, Pez? Okay. One printer at a time. Well, one type of so all right, before you go lurk, Zombie, what we got for my Voron 2.4, the first one I built, which is Fey Dragon, is, oh, let me shut that off. There we go. Is we've got a TFT 4.3 display. So we'll be basically clipper screening it. We've got, right now I've got printed tap Rev 8 on it. And we're going to install the CNC Voron Tap 2 on it. And then we got another package here. Here's my, if I can't figure out how to slice this box open without causing me issues. Somehow I don't think that's right, but we'll get there. Come on, give me something. Open up. All right, well, we'll just take it all out. So we've got a set of Chaotic Labs carbon fiber. So we've got a full carbon fiber set for the gantry. So we're basically going to take apart the XY gantry and rebuild it with all carbon fiber parts. So, and that includes not just the rods and the little end pieces. We also have these pieces which will go around the rods and give you a place to mount your linear rails to. They're so cute and tiny. Pop it out and throw it all over the place. But they're little aluminum CNC bits and bobs that will tighten in around your carbon fiber tube and cinch it on there and then allow you to mount your linear rails. So we've got all these parts here to enable that. We've also got the full set of AB motor mounts, so we'll be taking apart and rebuilding the AB motors. So in essence, we're going to take the entire gantry and rebuild it and get rid of the aluminum extrusions and go to carbon fiber rods with a few aluminum pieces. And, you know, we can probably go through and measure to see how much weight we'll save in the process. I'm not sure if it's going to be like super duper califragilistic spectacular, but we are going to save some weight. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing a few upgrades to that machine. There may be a couple of others as well. You never know. Okay, so anyhow, back to this. We're going to start by getting our fan mounts ready. And what we need to do is put in 3 heat set inserts onto the tops here so that they can mount, so that we can then use these on either side of our hot ends. So we'll go ahead and get out our stealth press and get a few of our heat sets out. Yeah, everybody has pizza but Liz, huh? Is that what we're saying here? Is everybody's got pizza but Liz, or does Liz have pizza too? And I didn't get the memo about pizza. Otherwise, I could have had pizza that I could eat. Exactly. I thought it was Taco Tuesday as well, Britt. So, and just like that, this is warmed up. And we're going to have to, you know, this is kind of a weird angle here, so it's not like we can lay it flat and press it in real easily. So we're going to have to do a little bit of combination of hand press and get it finished off with a smooth metal piece. I'll get it close and then use a metal piece to make sure that it's nice and flat with the printed part, because that is going to be critical to making sure that these get mounted and at the right angle. And if Amazon does not fail me today, I should have another TS100, 100, 101, one of the two. It's TS100. I have another one here today. So I'll have this one laid in here strictly for heat set inserts. And I'll have a second one that I can use for soldering. And I don't have to worry about keep switching between the two. And so that's what we're trying to look at here, is just get those three heat sets in there, make sure they're all nice and flush, so that they'll make sure they're all nice and flush so that it'll mount nicely. Laminated taco pizza. Yeah. And not a Taco Bell Mexican pizza. We're talking like good Mexican pizza. Maybe something that's got some uh carne asada, steak, pito, jalapenos. Sounds like my Amazon package just arrived. And tomorrow I'm waiting for DHL and UPS. If everything goes right tomorrow, I'll have some goodies from KB3D to show off in the form of a Smart Orbiter 3. What is that? Oh, got it. Last one was being a bit of a pickle, but we got it. As normal, put this down out of the way so I don't burn myself on it. Still not a guarantee, but at least I move it far enough away. And we're going to need a little fan package here. And in this fan package, we've got some 4010 blower fans and what in the heck did that look? We got 4010 blower fans, and I think this is like a 2010. 2510. This will be the fan for the hot end, the heatsink cooling fan. You want to be allowed in the kitchen, but only for dishes, as I'm not as good of a cook as her. Well, that's good. At least you know your limitations. So we're going to use M2 by 8 self-tapping and M2 by 14 self-tapping screws. Um, and okay, I've got I've got M2 by 10, and then I've got M2 and a half. I need M2 by 8 and M2 by 14. Let me see if that was in here in the, let's call it the extras bin that I got. You can cook to eat. Your wife cooks to make you eat too much. Yeah. Springs. Oh, yeah. M2 by 14 and M2 by 8. Kind of weird that they, this is the salad fork. Don't worry about that. But they did give me like, a Annex K3 hardware kit. And then there was a bunch of extras. So I'm wondering if this wasn't from the 1.1 and this was extras to comply with the 1.2, and it was just easier to throw additional in rather than mess with this original. So there may be things in here that we don't need. And that's kind of the way it feels like it's going to happen or pan out here. So, and let's see, are these, they are socket heads. Love them, love them, love them. So we're going to need rusty paper towel because these are small little boogers. And dumping them out on a paper towel tends to prevent them from going everywhere. We should just need 4 of these, and there's 5 in the box or in the bag. So we got 4 of those out, and we'll need 4 of the other ones out. Pizza ranch. Huh. Never heard of pizza ranch. Okay. So we've got our M2 screws there, and let me see which way we're looking. It looks 3 holes with the jet out on the left. Now it shows, yeah, it shows a little knob down here on the right hand side of this piece. The only thing I can think of is it wasn't required with my particular hot end. This is being built with a mosquito hot end in mind. I'm not building a mosquito hot end. So it could be some different parts. We're going to take this part and we need this flat side here, and we're going to take one of our blower fans and it needs to be pointing downward. So our M2 by 8s will be used up at the top. We are tapping these directly into the plastic, so Take time, go slow. Don't overdo it. So even with the M2x8, they do stick just a shade out, and you will see there's some stressing there. So I don't know if maybe I should have maybe drilled these out with a small drill just to make sure that there was enough room. But now next we'll take one of our cooling ducts and place that, and it's going to go over the little lips here on your fan. It'll sit down like that. And we'll take our M2x14s. Hey, good afternoon, Otter Danger's Den. Otter's Danger Den. Yep, cooling ducts. Simply going to take the output of the blower and shoot it right down at the tip of the nozzle on the hot end. So and I have a Rapido 2 hot end for this build, and that Rapido 2 can be configured in either a standard or an ultra high flow. Let me rephrase that. It can be configured as a high flow or an ultra high flow. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that this is properly sandwiched in there. Otherwise, you'll get a gap between the vent duct and the little ear, the mounting ear on the cooling fin there. And if that happens, then your duct won't seal that well, and you could lose a lot of air just out the back. So that's one of our fan ducts. We're going to go ahead and do basically the same thing on the other side. And aiming the output air down. Weird white particle. When I print with ABS or PCABS or ASA and things like that, I will get like a greasy filmy residue on the inside of my acrylic enclosure pieces. I'll take the other cooling duct and put on there. And, ooh, yeah, it could be glue stick that is broken free, or are you using the glue stick as a release agent for Pet G, or what? Um, don't, if it's acrylic or PC, do not clean it with Windex, Pez. Because it has ammonia in it. Even if it says it's ammonia free, it may have other things in there that will react poorly with your acrylic and cause it to basically almost like dry out and crack over time. Your better bet would be something specific like PlexiClean. Okay, that should be good then. If it's all glass, then you should be good. Wasn't sure if it was acrylic or glass. I don't have bamboo printers. I don't have a K1 or a bamboo. Now it says to ensure performance and durability, it's recommended to use high quality fans exclusively from Delta. We're using honey badgers. If they fail quickly, then I'll look at getting Deltas. But we should be good to go. Now, here we get to use, it's one of those things where you have to pay attention on which screws go where, because there are different screw sizes, or excuse me, screw types. I think they're all the same, M3 by 8, but we've got one button head that we have to use, and then the rest will be socket heads. Three, four, five, and my M3 by 8 button heads. Use the glue stick for the Pet G. Okay. Um, Gotcha. Okay, so we've got our selection of screws and we've got our two fans. Now we need to bring our printer back up here. And we're going to mount these one on each side, and we need to make them so that our little tabs back here are towards the left side of the printer. So kind of looking at the diagram, we've got our printed part, then the I guess the X rail, and so it's going to mount over here like this with the little tab in the back. And we need to put calls for Loctite on these. So I'll go through and do all of the socket heads first. Then we'll come back and do that one lone button head. Now this is an interesting modular print head. I'm curious to see, like, maintenance wise down the road, if I ever need to swap out or work on the tool head, how much fun it's going to be to basically disassemble to take a component out. So this side gets socket head, and then a button head, and then the other side is 3 socket heads. So we'll switch to the other side to do the other socket heads. Then I'll swap drivers and do the other one. And I'm just getting these snug. I'm not going to tighten them down just yet. Hey, Hybrid Robotics, how are you? Well, there's those 3. Need the 2mm X wrench for the last one, which, once again, this rear left one is a button head cap screw versus a socket head. And we see M3 through plastic. Yeah, like, we're just going to say little to no torque at all. So and that does actually make those pretty rigid. It is a pretty interesting mounting system. Oof, hybrid robotics. That's the like, how big of a robot? Like, are we talking R2D2 size? Or are we talking about Death Racer size or somewhere in the middle? Hey, Timur, welcome on in. Welcome on in. We are starting to work on assembling the tool head. We just assembled our fans, our cooling fans for each side. Need to make sure once again that our little mounting tabs, let me grab the other camera and bring it around here. There we go. So we need to make sure that our mounting tabs are towards the back, because these will be used as stabilizer brackets that are going to attach between the party plate into the linear rail carriage and into this piece. So that's going to be your stabilizer mount right there. And then you want to make sure that your fans are actually going to be blowing into the center, which they are. So we're looking good. Now it starts talking about the mosquito net. We're not doing a mosquito, so we don't have the mosquito net, which is just a more rigid mounting plate for the mosquito. Talks about installing that and then mounting the mosquito at the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our chosen tool head, which in this case is a Fetus Rapido 2. Of course, I'm going to like pull this entire thing out of the box. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Ew. So we're going to have a Rapido 2. And what we need to do is remove the groove mount or grove mount. Because we're going to rigid mount this, so we don't need the grove mount. And then what we'll do is see if, just holding it up there, if we've got the distance or not to so getting this all the way up there and mounting it. Go there. Our fans aren't even going to clear this. So I may have to look at printing different fan mounts, which was what I was afraid of. Now we'll continue to keep going with this, but I do have the ability to go either standard flow, just putting a nozzle, I say standard flow, the standard high flow, just inserting the nozzle, or provided I can get the right fans, take that off, take this off, and I can go ultra high flow with an extended nozzle. So what I need to do is really see, I'm going to need quite a lot more depth there. So I'm going to need to see about doing some different spacers in order to make this work effectively for cooling. Because I believe I want to go with the ultra high flow on here and try and see how fast we can push this particular printer. So I'm going to have to see about what parts I'm going to need to print to make that happen. Hello, Mrs. Dragon.
Hello, Mr. Yes.
Okay. We got more coffee. This should be the extra cables and such. We'll need the all the mounting screws and the wrenches because I'm going to need to wrench this. We'll get it mounted. We'll wrench on it a little bit, and then we will worry about fixing the fan mounts a little bit later, which means we won't be able to do our mounting points in the back either. So we'll have to figure out a new fan mount here. Now it talks about M2.5 by 12s. Not sure. Got mount screws here, but I'm not sure if they'll be long. That is that question. No, they will not. We will have to get the 12s out. Which also means that we're probably going to need to move on past the heat sink mounting and go into the belting and the Z-rails, simply because we're going to need to we'll do some more parts before we can get everything mounted up. And of course, we're going to have to heat tighten this as well down the road before we actually push plastic with it. Remember, kids, always heat tighten your nozzles unless you're doing something like a Revo, which is a hand tighten full throat. You always got to tighten your nozzles. M2 by 12 is what it called out. We're trying to 2.5 by 12. See if these are long enough. It's going to be tied up. 17.5 hour long print. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Closer to a death racer size? Okay. They did the research and testing. NEMA 17 are not voltage sensitive within reason. They are current sensitive, so steppers with 12-volt system will work. Correct. They're not voltage sensitive, but they are like current sensitive. So you don't want to be running, like 3 amps into a motor that can only handle 2 amp rated. Well, let me see if I can get this lined up. And there's one. And we do want to apply some of our Loctite on here. Make sure that this does not vibrate loose. So a little bit of Loctite on there. And I'm going to try and get a couple of screws started. So it's lined up, and then we'll come back and pull that other one out and add Loctite to it. Okay. Broke out. Oh, you broke one of your golden rules. You bought a Creality K1 for $349. Yeah. Well, and I mean, the Creality K1s aren't bad. My understanding is the first batch of them, you know, normal Creality wise, we were pretty much all the beta testers, and now we are in the hell. You guys did not tell me that I'm like getting this all cattywampus. Since I don't know what either of these is, I'll say probably so. Alright. Something feels very, very off. I don't know what it is. So we're going to back out and we'll try this again. I believe I printed the right party plate. From what the instructions said for this particular hot end, I did. So once again, unless the mounting for a Rapido and a Rapido 2 are different, so these are M2.5 by 12s, which may actually just wind up being too long. That just may be the issue. These are 4010 fans. They're the stock fans. And yeah, now I'm starting to wonder because, like I said, I printed the parts for the Rapido. This is a Rapido 2 Ultra High Flow. And I thought I got everything right based on the files, but I'm going to reprint these because I know the fans aren't going to go low enough. Either that or we just put a dragon in there and call it a done deal. That's always an option. Yeah, that may be an option. I wanted to use the Rapido 2 on this. Yeah, that's what I was figuring is the part cooling fans were going to need spacers to drop them down. Either that or there's different printed parts. Either way, I'm good. But I'm going to need to get those. And I'm going to have to verify once again that I've got the right party plate because that's just not looking like. Yeah, it looks like it should match up. Sorry about that. You have a Rapido 2 on yours? Nice. Always count on Turtle Crawler. And the other thing I'm questioning is it called for 12 millimeter. That's going to leave a gap between the party plate and the tool head. So it really needs to be like 10s and not 12s. So what we can do is hold off on mounting this just yet. We'll let Turtle Crawler take a look at his CAD. I forgot a heat set on my party plate. Where's the heat set go? Because once again, I'm wondering if I've got the right party plate. Did I forget? Oh, did I forget the one right here at the top? That side hole. This hole here? Okay. Yeah, I'm using Sherpa. I mean, that's easy enough to add in. But I'm definitely going to need spacers and stuff like that. So let me double check real fast. The CAD, or not the CAD, but the STLs. XY carriage. Rapido hot end. Well, and actually what we need to do is look down here. And it talks about a Rapido high flow, but it doesn't talk about like a Rapido 2 or whatnot. Go into Volcano and grab the spacers for the Volcano Mosquito hot end. The fan spacers. Oh, crap. You know what? I do have those. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, yep, I've got those printed. Da, da, da. Got those printed. And I also have this piece. Whoops. I also have this piece printed, which is supposed to go on top of it, which is actually going to take up some space and might allow the 12s to go. So I forgot about that part, that the fan will mount to. See, that's why Turtle Crawler's here, to help myself keep from screwing the pooch on things. Okay. So, with that, let's pull some fan mounts, add some spacers. Seeing like the black thing that I showed? The little fan shroud piece for the Rapido? Okay. And does it still work with the 12 millimeter screws in? And I'm assuming with these spacers that we're going to need to switch out these M3x8s for something else. Probably like 12s. Well, at least. You're also not running the printed party plate though. Is there like a metal party plate? Let me open these spacers up a little bit. Let these screws go right on through easier. This is one of those builds where it's a complicated build, and I'm not sure if I want to go too off script. Oh, there's a CNC version? Okay. Well, I got the CNC motor mounts. Hector didn't send me a CNC version of a party plate, so. Just facing the holes in the spacer here so that they'll mount easier. Okay. And let me just double check. That goes there, there. You're not allowed to share the ones you have? Okay. So 12 isn't going to make it, so I'm going to need to go to 16s. Yeah, I just had a feeling looking at the manual before, I was like, I think I'm missing parts. Sure enough, I was. So I printed these and then apparently properly forgot about the spacers. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to figure out some spacers or there's other prints. Nope, you've already printed them. I just apparently needed Turtle Crawler to show up to remind me that I already printed them. So yeah, you can see the difference now in the heights there. Um, and I use 16, so I'm going to need to grab an M3 by 16 button head. Like I said, I do lose, print height in this because I'm using a extra long hot end, but that's perfectly fine. I'm curious how the CNC version, is it a CNC like aluminum one or is it a CNC carbon fiber one? Because, I mean, you've got electrical connections there. You'd still need something between a CNC plate and the circuit board just to make sure that you don't short anything out. M3 by 16. Hey, Major Gamer Geek, how are you doing? I am doing the standard K3 build, which was it 185 by 185? Basically a 180 cubed. All right, sounds good. Hybrid robotics. Okay. So those are in. We've got our little adapter plate here that will allow me to mount the fan to it. Do you have any idea what these two pieces here on the flange are? And it doesn't make much sense. Go back and grab my 2.5 by 12s again then. Getting ready to have some dinner with friends, so that's nice. Hope you enjoy it. This is going to be a joy. That plate. Okay, so that screw just bottomed out and then it fell down like that. So 12s definitely are too long because this can't go down apparently enough as many fins as it would on something else. So can't do the 2.5 by 12s. It's not going to work. We're going to need to go down to either 10s. What else do we have? We have 16s. We have 12s. What okay, they aren't black, but it just got me an assortment of 2.5. So and of course the written legend on, or the printed legend on here sucks to all get out. So we'll have to use our little measuring tool for length. Yeah, but we had to go get a 2.5 millimeter screw kit because we're running into similar issues on the Chewy build with his um, chosen hot end. It was weird. What is going on here? Need 2.5 by 10, right? These are 10. And the 12s are too long, so we're going to try 10s and see if that brings us within a doable length. Hmm. Tells me it might be easy if I just put a length of PTFE tube in here for the time being. That'll be easy. I'm going to put a 4 millimeter reamer through it. Head brake. I was just using a 4mm reamer to make sure that the PTFE hole was actually 4mm, and I think it was just a bit of elephant's foot on the bottom edge that was causing an issue. Not be this hard. Looking for a locator. I need it to be a pretty stiff hole, but no comments from the peanut gallery on that one. Hey, Cedar Craft, how's it going? I'm kind of wondering if that's an out-of-spec piece of bone tube, because bone tube should be 4mm in outside diameter, right? Yeah, there we go. All I want to do is use that to try and help line up the hot end here. Keep my holes in this printed piece lined up. You may have actually got it. You're on your way to Oregon to deliver a load. Nice. Nice. So how you enjoying the truck driving and being on the road? Hopefully it's doing well and not having any issues. Thai food's awesome. Thai food is awesome. Okay, so we are 3 screws in, going for the last one. Everything's tightening up nicely now, which is good. We switched over to 10mm screws from 12mm screws because we're using a slightly different mount. We're using a Rapido 2 versus the Mosquito that is called out for in our build guide there. And of course, after remembering we needed our little fan hold piece, we needed our extensions to get our fans down. Well, and those still aren't in the right spot. It'd probably be in the right spot if I was going with a standard Rapido 2 and not the ultra high flow. So probably what I can do is print off another set of the spacers and just double stack them, and that'll drop them down. Oh, maybe. Let me see how big I need to make those. Maybe better just to print these and just increase the Z height to make them work. Because once again, this is the, well, I've got the standard nozzle, so I can make it a high flow or I can make it an ultra high flow. Right now, basically what I just did was put in the nozzle to make it an ultra high flow. Yeah. But what I'll need to do is figure out how much longer these need to be in order to get them down. Probably like 10 millimeters gets me right to the nozzle. So we need about another 8 millimeters. And that's what these are 8 millimeters. So yeah, I basically need to print new spacers at double the height in order to get it to the right location for this. So we'll leave it this way for now. I'll print new spacers and print them at twice the height. And what that will let me do is, if I ever want to take and drop it back to a standard rapido, I can do that, swap spacers, and I'm back in business. So normal orange there. We'll work on getting this set up while we're tinking here. I'm just going to need to do a filament swap. Ooh, and actually break out a new roll of filament because I was out of that particular color. So I had to I had to order some more, which recently came in. So we'll get some filament ready to go here so that we can get new spacers going. And as always, it is the very last box of filament that I pull out that happens to be the one that we would need. You never run UHF? Oh yeah, that's true. That would be the backspacer. So I guess what I should do is just not run UHF and just run standard Rapido 2. We'll go ahead and pop that off. And we'll just go back to standard Rapido 2 then. So we'll need that. We'll need these so that we can get the pulls out. Now I'll probably have to take the damn thing out so I can get the mount off again, knowing my luck. Nothing's been hot tightened yet, so it was just there we go. Put that back in the box. Yep, yep. So with that, put the right one of those on. Look at that. Fans line up pretty well now. Okay. Fans line up well. We're going to put the wrenches away for now. Need to remember to get these back out later on and hot tighten this when we first fire it up. So we don't need to run the extra spacer yet. But we do have some other parts that we still need to reprint, so we'll get things fired up and ready. Okay. That stuff there, that stuff there. So we'd already done the spacers, so we don't need the spacers. Yeah, and that's why we don't have those other nubs on the front here, is because we're not using the mosquito net. We don't have these screws here either, I don't believe. So this little tab that's on this piece, turtle crawler. So does this get mounted like this, or does this get rotated where this intake fan is coming in from the side? Because it's got these two holes here that look like they would line up on the MGN 9C mounts. Okay, so this tab needs to be going to the back, so the fan would actually be coming in the inside, or the fan would be coming from the side, which is why you didn't like it and you redid it. Okay. Makes sense-ish. So I basically need to unscrew this, clock this fan shroud mount 90 degrees so it would line up with the two rear holes of the was that the X-axis carriage. Oops. It's basically going to wind up being like that. I went to install fan first. Yeah, very true. So this is kind of a build unbuild stream. That's good. You all get to see the fun that comes with doing a build. So our hot end fan is going to go here based on how everything else is going. I'm going to mount it like this with the power sockets coming out at the bottom side. Rather than moving it up to the top, I'll put it at the bottom side. That'll give me a little bit more flexibility on when we cut and trim the wires to size. And now I just need to figure out what these use to secure them with. And you'll see that brace that goes in the back. Hot end fan, 2.5 by 16 and just 2.5 by 16 in the top. Let me go grab those again. Yeah, you just figured out what made sense looking at the screw holes and stuff. I mean, lengthwise, M12 by 14 would actually make good sense, or 2.5 by 14 would as well, but these will work. The trying to do the 12s wouldn't. But these are going to thread directly into plastic, which is always fantastic. And it only calls for doing the top two. Which I wouldn't see anything else as to why you wouldn't try and do a crossing pattern or do all four. I know why they probably just want to do two, and that's just to keep everything light. But if you just do the top, then you can get a lot of vibration noise just from the fan if you don't, because the bottom could be flapping. And I'm just going to go ahead and put all four in. It's not that much more weight, and it's going to be a pretty beefy machine anyhow. And I do have some 5160s to go in for the XY motors, so we should be able to push them pretty fast if we need to. Let's do all four, and then for whatever reason, the last one isn't going to fight and go in. There it is. It was trying to fight me. Okay, there we go. So let's work this again. Get our hot end back there. Good gracious. Whoops. I promise we will move on from this step eventually. It does make sense that on the Mosquito it would go on the front because of the way that it's mounted, though it's weird that this would go on the side versus the front. I guess technically it is in the front and not the side, but okay. Slowly but surely, we're making progress. Let me unload filament. Now where are we at? That we don't need that. We can add the first two in the back here, which are going to be N5 by 12. And let me see what's going to be the best way to show that. Or for that matter, how's going to be the best way to actually do that. So basically we're going to do the bottom two screws into our carriage. We're going with M3 by 12s. M3 by 12 socket head cap screws. And we're going to use some BHP, some Loctite. Yep. And I believe that's the one I have printed, turtle crawler. Okay. And next up, we're going to need the brace. Give me half a second here. More than half a second. Ah, crash, bang, boom. Glad you guys heard that and didn't see it, because that would have been embarrassing. Okay, so orange out. Let's put our PCABS filament in. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, we got the bottom two in. No pizza. Protein pancakes. Ooh, you know what? I got some protein pancake mix. I should make some. Yeah, and that's the one you're talking about, right? The longer one? And that's going to go with the this towards the back, and the rigid, or the what'll be the vertical is towards the underside. And this should kind of press. We want to run our wires through, around. We want to run our wires through this, under it, around it. Based on how we're coming out, probably through it looks to work the best. It's going to kind of press fit in there. Now, looking at this though, I'm going to assume we need to put heat set inserts on either side here so that we have something to screw into. So let's move that up there. We'll get our heat press machine up here again. We'll insert a couple of heat presses. Heat press, a couple of heat inserts. Those are going to be in 3 screws, so standard M354 screws. I'm planning on doing quick draw because I don't own a beacon. So if somebody wants to send me a beacon, I'll do beacon. Never done it. Never done quick draw either. I always go with, all my Vorons. I never went with clicky. I've either used the standard inductive probe or did tap. So because this will get the heat set inserts, and then the either beacon or clicky. Oh, does that go all the way through and just no? Because I won't be using that plate. but it will screw up through the quick draw, through the fan plate, and through this. And like I said, I'm looking at that, and that just screams like it's set for a heat set insert. So that's what I'm going to do, is put a heat set in it. Quick Draw uses non-standard hardware that you had to order off AliExpress. Okay. I mean, I've got the... Yeah, so this would be the part that mounts here, which my understanding is just the two magnets that will hold it. And then this is the one that'll have the whatchamacallit, the end stop and the reciprocal magnets, but the end stop's gonna, yeah. Gotcha. This will be the interesting piece. You need 6x3 ring magnets. Okay. Well, and like I said, I haven't committed to this or beacon. Maybe I'll talk to Chris and see if he can't send me a beacon in my Christmas package, and we'll install that. Right now, I'm not going to worry too much. I think I'm just going to put placeholder screws in it for now so we can keep moving. And we'll come back to it once we make final decisions on what we're going to go with. Okay, and what do we have at the top? Yeah, and like I said, I've never done quick draw or clicky, or I've got sideswipe, never did sideswipe either. Well, at least never installed it. So I've just always said the hell with it and went with the tap type of install. And yes, at some point I need to get a brush installed on that. So the other two screws up here are going to also be M3x12 socket head cap screws. with a little bit of Loctite. Come on, get in the darn hole. There we go. There's definitely a lot of cross bracing in the way that these things lock together to form a really rigid mount, even though it's printed parts. Now, what I'm going to do right now is just do like an M3x6 button head to go up through here just to lock these together until make that M3x8 just to put this in place and kind of just lock that together, and we'll decide if we're going to do beacon or not, because even if I go to do the quick draw, clicky, what have you, it's going to be I've got to build it first, right? It shows you how and where it installs, but it doesn't actually like tell you how to build it yet. Hey Modlight, how's it going? I so thought we would be on belts right now, but we're still dawdling around here on the hot end. Kind of been a little bit making it up as we go. Keep forgetting I had printed parts that I needed. And then we found the parts that I needed. And then was going to be doing like ultra high flow with the extension. And then realized I'd basically have to double stack the adapters on the fan here to get the fans in the right place. And figured, the hell with it. We'll just do regular. Especially after Turtle Crawler goes, well, I've never done ultra high flow. I figured, well, if it's good enough for Turtle Crawler, it should be good enough for me. Right, Turtle? So we've got this locked in for now. Once again, I think they've pretty much just talked me into beacon. So I'll have to go and get a beacon so that we can install that. So we'll just pop these two temporary M3x8s I put in, and we'll mount beacon right there. And rather than doing the lock nut, because we're not going through this mosquito plate, this piece seemed to have a provision for heated inserts, so I just put heated inserts there. And once again, we'll set this up, kind of turn it around. So you're looking at the tool head from the right hand side of the printer, and that is extremely rigid, even with just printed parts stabilizing this rear section. that whole piece is just very rigid. So next up would be, hey, mounting the fan. Well, we mounted the fan already because otherwise I wouldn't be able to get to it, because the hot end cooling fan is coming right behind this fan on this particular mount. If I have any issues with this, I'm sure I can talk to Turtle, and he redid this. So I think the fan would be on the side versus here, but we're working with what we got. Now we added, just going to turn this 180. We had added these two heat set inserts here, and that's where we're going to put our cable management chain. Our cable management chain piece here. And we're going to put this in with two M3x8 socket head cap screws. I printed my part, actually all the printed parts on this build are Sparta 3D PC ABS. Your salad fork will be the first time using the UHF Rapido. Gotcha. Oh, really? That's the first time you've printed TPU. You might as well get on the train and start printing parts for a Death Racer now that you've got TPU under your belt. So what I just put on here was Rapido 2. I don't know which one Aaron's using. I'm sure he'll respond. But this is Rapido 2, and this is the high flow. I do have the UHF, adapter for it, but then, like I said, I lose even more volume than I do right now. Oh yeah, it prints beautifully. But you just need to get, wait and, sit there and let your chamber temp rise up. Get your chamber temp up. And what I'm finding is I've been printing the black parts on a 2.4, and I started printing my Limebot green parts on the Trident. And I kind of like the Trident better when you're trying to do high temp prints, because your print stays up in the top side of the chamber, which is where all the heat's collecting anyhow, right? And I'd really love to be doing it on like the salad fork, simply because, I can get, well, on Free Heathens V02 that I sent them, I was getting close to like upper 50s, close to 60 chamber through prints. And I had printed some of the PCABS on that V2 or V02 before I sent it up there to them. So I'm sure I can get close to that on the salad fork. On the larger Vorons, after a while, like if I'm printing all day or if I let a print go overnight, yeah, it'll be cooking at 55 C in the chamber. I'm going to move this all the way over so I have the distance I need for to get my wrench in here. Even still, I'm going to have to grab my ball end wrench just to be able to get in there and tighten that in there without feeling like I'm going to gouge my rail. But yeah, the Sparta PCABS prints beautifully. And so this is mounting to the party plate using, what was this, M3x8 socket head cap screws. And we're going into a heated insert, so we're adding a little bit of Loctite per the directions. Once again, this is PCABS. And you're using rapid burner. Yeah, and I had a couple of rapid burners printed out, and I may be using one of them, but I've also got another one that, so I'm going to do a hot end swap on one of my 2.4s here in the near future as well. Now I need an M3x40, and this M3x40 is basically just going to add stiffness to this printed part, so it's not as floppy. So that's just a stiffener. Yeah, I just got some of the, what else did I get when I ordered the, yeah, I just got regular ASA, but I got the, fluorescent blue and sparkle racing green. I know that's probably not the best look of them. We'll pull them out when I go to use them. I'm trying to just, I had a thought about what I was going to use these colors for, but it's like every time I turn around, I change my mind on which color I'm going to use where. Now I do have Prylene PCCF that I planned on using for black box, unless I am told specifically otherwise, because people had had issues with it. That was going to be my plan. So once again, this is going down and is just screwed into the plastic. There is no heat set insert or anything down at the bottom. Yeah, you can print PETG with a Rook 2020. It's like anything else when you're screwing into plastic parts. Sorry. When you're screwing into plastic parts, just make sure that as soon as you feel the tension change, which means you've bottomed the top out into the plastic, maybe an eighth turn and stop. Any more than that, and you're going to start stripping the plastic, and you just get to reprint parts. And this was the issue I had, Modlite. This is why I reprinted that. So I was not going to send a duck looking like that. It was probably still going to be fairly functional, but I'm not going to send a part like that out to anybody. I just reprinted it, and it printed perfectly fine the next time around. So I don't know what happened there. This looks very much like too much heat, and I don't get it. Why it was too much heat when I printed it, and then when I reprinted it, it was fine. So I don't know. So your parts got in the mail, and like I said, I will send you tracking after this. So next up, next up is our toolhead board. So once again, this is a pretty nice little toolhead board. You'll have the connections for your part cooling fan, your hot end fan, part cooling fan and your hot end fan, and then this will be for the thermistor and the hot end itself. This will be for the probe once we figure out which one we're going to use, which is going to be beacon. And then on the top side, on the other side, you'll have the other part cooling fan, and this is the motor, right? Yeah, the stepper motor for your extruder. And then this becomes the single filament or the single connection back to the back of the printer where the carabiner will be. So let me flip this around, and I'll probably, yeah, I'm going to have to play angles here. So this is basically going to sit right on top, and it'll kind of almost auto align there. And your Sherpa is going to mount right to the top and through this and hold this plate in place. And that center hole in the plate here is where your PTFE tube is going to go through and go right onto your or right into your hot end. So it's pretty simple and easy. So the fans on these, they're set for 5 volt or 24 volt out of the gate. Anybody know? And I probably want to clean up some of this crud that's all over the board here. Give it a little bit of an alcohol bath to clean that up. I don't know if that's just way excess solder paste or what it was. Yeah, no, I wasn't going to send you a board that looks like that. That would be bad on me if I'm willing to send that out. So right now I'm just going to get a bunch of alcohol on here and just try and clean off some of the excess flux and solder paste and stuff that was on this. Just try and clean up those connections a little bit more. Make sure we don't have any issues. So that, like I said, will kind of just self-align itself there. And I better get that heat set insert in there. So there's see if I can't get you guys, whoops. Turtle Crawler was telling me there's a heat set insert that needs to go right here that's missing. So I need to definitely get that in there before we go too much further, because that will be blocked here soon. And Turtle, are there two at the top as well for mounting the Sherpa into. It looks like it is. I just think I missed them. So let me, if you're still there. So it looks like this hole and this hole require heat sets, along with the one in the front here that'll hold down the Sherpa. Whoops. So I know we need the heat insert here for the Sherpa, for the K-brace on the Sherpa, but these two right here need to have heat inserts as well to mount the Sherpa, right? I believe so. I believe that yes is still going to be a yes, so I need to grab 3 of these heat sets. Nope, I got 3 out already. And grab my, we'll have to dismount our soldering iron so that we can freehand it. That down out of the way. Grab this. Yeah, it would have been great to use stealth press on this when I did this earlier. I did most of the others, and I have a feeling I just didn't do these because I thought it was telling me to do it on the other side, which made 0 sense to me. But now with hindsight being 20/20 and all, I go, oh, it was probably telling me to do them here on this side rather than the other side. And 98% of the way, and then use the flat of my tweezers to make sure it's nice and flush with the top part. And the one back here the same way, just hopefully without slipping off the edge. And then the one on the front's going to be interesting. Yeah, probably so. And I've got the CAD. I just didn't bring it up tonight for whatever reason. Oh, nice. Very nice Monlight. Coffee. Oh, God, that's horrible. Oofta. Oh, man. Mrs. Dragon bringing me snackies too. We were sitting over there working on that. I forgot all about my coffee, so. Oof. Yeah, I could probably use a little warmth. So we got heat sets in there. That's good. We're going to set this down in place. Now, here's another question for you. Tip: ensure that no socket heads are in contact with the bottom of the K3 carabiner. If necessary, use button heads. Yeah, that would be, once again, a good thing. And yep, no button heads. However, the heat set inserts will be contacting at least one hole. But that's not going to actually foul a pin or anything. Ooh. And things are going to be getting tight up in there. Oh, I'll tell her, Mod Light. In fact, she may be in here lurking around. You never know. Miss Dragon, if you're online, say hi. I'm not seeing her, but once again, she gets sneaky sometimes. So, Turtle, Aaron, you've built these. This extruder spacer, I don't think I would need the extruder spacer, would I? Or is that for if you're doing the micro versus the mini? You've not built, oh, okay. I thought maybe you'd built that one. Sorry. All right, Monlight. Take it easy, my friend. Thanks for stopping in and being here. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to switch over and actually build an extruder. So yeah, I've got to grab those parts. Which there really isn't that many. There's not a whole heck of a lot of parts to a Sherpa Mini or a Sherpa Micro. Like I said, it is a little weird that they would talk about having a spacer. I don't know why. Oh, okay. Turtle. You need that to clear the PCB. Okay. I don't. Yeah, I don't remember printing a piece or even having a piece like that Oh, black parts, black part. Bed. No. More bed. On it. Bird bucket. No. Onyx. Nope. Yeah. I don't remember printing a piece that looks like that. Umbilical mount, front fan nozzle, a Sherpa umbilical mount. We'll need to print off a beacon mount if we're going to go beacon. Yeah, there's nothing here. Well, let me look at because those are hot ends, extruders. Yeah, it just talks about the umbilical mount. It doesn't talk about, hey, KB3D Chris, how's it going? I mean, right now it would clear the rail. And once again, the build manual is 1.1, but all the parts I've printed are 1.2. Your pecker's a bit underwhelming. Yeah, that's what she said. Oh, hey, Chris, real fast, do you have any beacon probes? Hey, Daddy Wazzy, welcome in. Pecker support yet? Yeah, because like this is the core mount piece. And that would mount right there. Guess let me come down here. It clears everything. But the motor might not clear the umbilical. That's what we'll probably need it for is the motor in the back clearing the umbilical. But I haven't been, like that part, give me a second. Give me a second. Because there was on the 1-2 STLs, I thought there was STLs to be merged with carabiner toolhead. Once again, it's great because it shows the micro versus the mini. And I've always printed the mini. It does show a spacer there. And that little K looks like it's... Now, why is that showing a standard? Damn it. I built a mirror because I was told I needed a mirror. Now it's going to do a standard, really? See, that one's mirrored. All right, let's see. Files. Micro extruder, mini extruder. Housing front, party plate, Sherpa, mini mosquito dragon. Hey, look, there's the spacer I need. So it's in the it's in the part that hasn't been merged yet. Darn it! Wow. So there's a completely different Sherpa Mini, Mosquito, and Dragon. Don't overthink it. Just print. Just. I need that. And that. I don't want to rebuild this if I don't have to. Because that is a slightly different looking party plate. Oh, and you guys can't even see. Oh. Sorry about that, guys and gals. You have 3 beacons on order. Darn it, Aaron. Yeah, so this party plate looks a little bit different than the one that I am currently using. I guess not too much different. Slight different. I was going to say, don't make me cry in public and make me have to reprint all of it. But I think what I really just need is the housing front. So this would be the elongated K front to make up for the spacer and the spacer. The 1.1 plate does not support carabiner. So I'm going, I'm going to try and hold it in right now, because what that means is we get to take this entire toolhead assembly apart again, because I'm going to have to reprint this party plate, and I'm going to have to reprint my extruder, because my extruder I mirrored because somebody told me I had to mirror it. Omar, and that K piece is not mirrored, nor is it show it being mirrored in this view. Right? That is a mirrored micro, but that's not a mirrored mini. I've never done the micro, I've always done the mini. But regardless, if I've got to reprint stuff, I just need to print out the party plate, take everything apart, put everything back together again. Yeah, I'll probably go with micro. I'll probably go with this one. Sorry. So since apparently I'm going to be reprinting my entire party plate, I will yeah, I'll print micro here. Well, yeah, the micro shows the idler on the left versus the right. Mini is on the right like a standard. Housing front. See that housing front shows it with the where the idler would be on the right versus the left. You're killing me. Yeah, no kidding, Turtle. Hey Pete, how's it going? So this is me. After just realizing that there's parts that hadn't been merged, and so sorry for jumping again. So this block right here, the one that's got all the pretty heat sets in it that we just added, and has everything in the toolhead connected to it that we've just spent the last 3 hours working on. This piece needs to be reprinted and everything taken off so that I can replace this piece and then print out the spacer and the extruder for the top of it. It was great practice. So much great practice that I'm going to print these parts, and tomorrow night I'm going to take it apart and rebuild it off stream so that when we start on Thursday, we're going to act like all of this was done right to start with. I will start some prints tonight. I'll shed a couple tears. Yeah. Well, Westery, yeah. And the thing is even looking at the CAD wouldn't have helped that because the CAD is 1.1 rev, not 1.2. There's not a CAD in the 1.2 file sections. Hey, Chris. Once again, Chris, I don't know if I missed it because, yeah. Do you have Beacon, Chris? Because we've decided I'm not going to do quick draw, I'm going to do Beacon. Place bearings for your V0. Yeah, mini and micro are not the same mounting. So I've got a reverse reverse mini already printed. I just need to do the elongated K-front. So I will print a mirrored and a regular. And the idler, it doesn't matter. It's just whichever way we put the gearing in. So that one wouldn't matter. The housings I mirrored, so I'd have to print those in a standard orientation. And then, yeah, reprint the base. So basically, I need to set up some parts and get some parts ready to print, and then I will tear apart the tool head and completely rebuild the tool head again using the appropriate party plate. I'll print the extra pieces that I need. And yeah. So what would be next after this? Because we've got to kill about 40 minutes. Hey, look, it would be belting. Yeah, I don't think I want to start belting at this point of the stream. Back to packing. Okay, sis. Thanks for stopping by and taking a quick break with us. You're awesome. Stay awesome. Stay safe. Stay warm and dry. Yeah, Chris, it's beacon or basically a clicky. And yeah, Turtle was telling me that their quick draw uses some parts that he had to actually go and get off of AliExpress. I will rescue one. I'll tell her you said hi. Yeah. So I don't think beacon is a fad at this point. I really don't want to start with belting because I know that belting can be fun after watching what's his name? Golden Jaguar do his. So we'll work on belting tomorrow night. Not tomorrow night, Thursday night. And we'll play with belting on Thursday night. Ooh, we can install a couple of extrusions. The belt routing isn't too bad on K3, except it's fiddly, and you've got to push it through slots. And yeah, I think I would rather. Okay. Don't install the back things first, do the belts first. Okay. Oh, thank you for gifting a tier 1 gift sub to Zombie and Aaron 3DHP, Chris. And to Turtle Crawler. I appreciate that, kind sir. I appreciate it. Especially since Turtle Crawler's sitting here saying, like, here's the things you don't want to do. Let me warn you before you do something that you won't come back from. Oh God, Daddy Chris. Nice. You about made me spit up my coffee. Okay, other than needing a different front piece, which we can live with that. Where the hell did I just? What am I doing wrong here? There we go. Wow, that was all kinds of fun. So, that off, so that would at least not make everybody have weird things seeing multiple hands moved around. Okay, let me check and see if they've got parts, and we'll put the extruder together while we're still going tonight. And can't remember if this kit came with parts for the extruder or not. I don't remember seeing them. Not here. Magnets, angles, which you told me to stay away from for now, motors. If it came with parts, it would be in the motion. Of course, I'm going to need the stepper motor, the pancake motor. Okay. So I got a motor. Let me check in here. Yeah, you could also pre-assemble the Z drives. Yeah. For Poppy. Yeah, really what I'm trying to do, Turtle, is hey, Cheese Bacon, welcome on in. Thank you for stopping by. I'm going to check in here real fast. Pulleys. This is going to be a lot of the Z stuff. So we could work on building Z drives. We can work on building a Sherpa. But we really don't know if we need a standard or a reverse Sherpa. So let's hold off on building the Sherpa, and we'll go ahead and build the Z drives, or start building a Z drive. Let me move that off. We'll turn this on, shut this off, go back to a full table view. We'll take our Sherpa stuff and set it back up here. Because we can work on building these. And, oh, that's great. I'm just going to stick them down here so it'll make it a little bit easier to see as it's being worked on something. Black on black on black just kind of gets a bit confusing. That goes there. That'll go there. This stuff goes here. And I just put those in the way, and I know I'm going to need some heat sets. So Z motion, Z axis. So which one do we have first? This will be the told you it's going to drive me insane. This will be the one we're using. Mount points are slightly different because 1.2 versus 1.1. You're working on building up an appetite? Nice. Black on black box. So, Chris, my plan is to use Prilene CF or PCCF for black box. So that is my plan. And before I start putting heat set inserts in here, yeah, we're going to do shaft pulleys, this, that, and everything else. I want to make sure that my 625 bearings fit in here. Because I noticed that my holes aren't perfectly round. They've got the, they did the whole, I'll say it, bridging stuff. And it's on the insides too, so I'm not sure if these will fit in. Oh yeah, they fit in. They fit in perfectly. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I just wanted to double check that these would fit in before I even attempted to add heat sets and stuff. But yeah, they snap in. So the do it, Chris, was that to me on using the Prilene CF or PCCF? Okay, so it looks like those bearings will fit in, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So we're going to put in 4 heat sets here. And it looks like we're going to need 3 on the other 2. So we're going to triple check that real fast, and we'll do all the heat sets at once. These are completely killing me because they completely redid the parts. Got rid of all kinds of little wings. Yeah, they add strength, and the one guy I was watching that was building it was saying that it also like potentially compresses. So your idler pulleys here that go through on these dowel pins, these holes go on either side of that dowel pin. So not only is it compressing it, but it should also help to hold these in the slots to keep them from backing out, I believe. So add strength. All right, so anyhow, I need some heat sets out of here, and these are 356 heat sets. 354, 356, 3, 6, 10. Heat sets can be the very last step. Well, they can be, but if I'm going to use my stealth press, it's going to be easier to do it now before I have some big round thing hanging off the top of it. Just saying, you know. Oh, hey, Chris. Look what I got from Subsector. Wow, that camera just does not like. Yeah, apparently if I slow down too much, it picks up the pixelation a lot. But yep. Okay. What am I doing here? I don't know. Stealth press. Power to the people. And really, I'm waiting till about 9 o'clock because I know that my raid target for this evening is going to be Creatix Britt. She is going to have Michael Laws of Teaching Tech on her channel tonight. And I wanted to go over and raid them. Well, darn it. Things look like they're barrel jack connectors with the size that they are. And these are M3 by 5 by 6, so they're, we'll say, extra long. That way you won't have to sink them like way down in there in a massively countersunk hole. Yeah, yeah. So, and Michael Laws, if you don't know who he is, Teaching Tech, Michael Laws, he is in Australia. Really, really good guy. Has a lot of good information on 3D printers and stuff. He was one of the ones that I learned a lot from when I first started printing and building printers. And I'm a Patreon of his, and I actually get in on his Patreon chat every once in a while, which, you know, getting on a chat with somebody that's in Australia, kind of a time difference there. So I don't make it every time, but I do try and make it occasionally. Work and life permitting. So Chris, as we talk about black box earlier, do I need to start printing parts? Do you got the parts that are safe to print now? Or I left that one a tad bit too proud. Aussies are just flip time from us. Exactly. Yeah. You got plenty to get you going, keep you busy, but Autodesk hasn't made it. Yeah. Yeah, if you can definitely get me stuff to get me going, that's great. Printers are available to start printing parts. I just need to make sure that I'm printing the right parts. Like I said, I got some Prilene PCCF. I've got 2 spools. I was trying to decide if I was going to go with a different color, but I'm finding that PCCF is pretty much black or black. So if I go to add color, it's going to be in something that's not PCCF. Apparently you can get PC glass filled in some colors, but just not PCCF. But yeah, if you can get me going, that would be great. I definitely want to do the build all on stream, but if I can get some pre-work done ahead of time and, like I said, get everything printed out, that'll make build a lot easier. Oh, I hate you. I did not realize that was you that made the flipped comment. How's it going, dude? So if you just got here, Chewy, you want to check a little bit back. When we realized that after fighting and working and forgetting that I printed parts that I needed, we got the tool head assembled and we're like, okay, we're going to need to build the Sherpa and get it mounted. And the manual shows a spacer plate, and I'm like, there was no spacer plate. There was like nothing that said to print a spacer plate. And then Turtle Crawler's like, oh wait, you've got the 1.1 party plate. You need the 1.2 party plate that's thinner because that works with the carabiner. And so he crushed me. He crushed me. I was dually crushed. It was bad. So, I mean, yeah, it was bad. So, I'm going to be slicing and starting to print parts tonight so that tomorrow I can tear the whole tool head apart. And I literally mean we need to tear the entire tool head apart because this plate right here is the wrong plate. And everything attaches to this plate. So we get to take everything apart. I'll try and salvage some heat sets out of the party plate here. And I have to reprint this and a spacer that'll go on top and a couple of other things. And yeah, I was sort of devastated. It was rough. The look on my face was not a pretty look. It was a sad, sad day. Okay, we're gonna sit down for a minute here. Well, and I printed all the, so here's the thing. So I printed all the STLs under the 1.2 release, right? 1.2 release, all the STLs. To include the X-Carriage, you know, based on come down here, pick your tool head, pick your, you know, pick your whatever, right? Your hot end, your extruder type. Yeah, and I just stopped and looked because I'm like, oh, Rapido. Depends on your extruder. So I guess we're sticking with the micro because I'm not going to reprint any more than I need to. God, yeah. That sad day, yeah. Sad day. Anyhow, so I got everything printed, but under the STLs, or not the STLs, under the release 1.2, there's a folder that said STLs to be merged. K3 carabiner toolhead PCB. Looked right on past it. It's using a Rapido 2 high flow. I started to build it as the ultra high flow, but I basically have to double the size of the spacers and make it a 16 millimeter spacer versus an 8 millimeter. So yeah, if I wanted to use the tool board, which why not? It came with it. Yeah. The underlying party plate's different. There's a spacer, and this yellow part here has an even larger extension to it. And of course, somebody told me I needed to print it mirrored, so I printed it mirrored, but this shows it as being standard. So yeah, I think the idler is the same regardless. I just need to do the two core parts and this front K part. So yeah, sad day because the party plate isn't as thick. That's a lot thinner, I believe, than the current party plate I have. So yeah, I'll be reprinting parts and tearing down and redoing the tool head off stream. Great day. Yeah, it's not a proper K3 build unless you have to reprint, rebuild. I mean, hell, we built the tool head, like 3 different times before we finally got it right because it kept saying use 2.5 by 12s, and I wound up having to get some of the 2.5s that I bought to work with your tool head, Chewy, and redo it. So anyhow, centerpiece, which once again, completely different geometry because, well, why not? 1.2 parts versus 1.1 build manual. Talks about putting in the M3 socket head cap screws through the top into the heat set inserts that we just did. Those are M3 by 35. I'm going to wait on those just for a little bit to see if that makes a difference. And we need to basically build this bearing stack. Now on a Voron, we build the bearing stack like this. We put it in place and we do a clamp top to it. Not on this. We actually have to build the bearing stack left to right as we're pushing the shaft in. So we've got 2 of our bearings in. The 3rd bearing will add as we're pushing our shaft in. We're going to need smooth bore idlers will come later. We need the 20-tooth 9mm GT pulleys. We'll need one of those and make sure it has grub screws. I see at least one grub screw running around free in there. Need one of those. 20-tooth, yes. We'll need one of the 80-tooth pulleys. We'll need some 1mm shim washers. Good to know. And one of our closed loop belts. Your hoard of boxes. So Pit Skyfire, we almost had some, adult male crying session when we realized that I have to tear the whole tool head apart because the party plate was not the correct printed part. So yeah, you almost had a chance to see a grown man cry. And the big tooth idler, the smaller idler, we've got 3 of our 625 2RS. We'll need our shims. I'm looking for the 5 by 60. That's 8 by 50. Where's the 5 by 60? Here's the 5 by 60. The larger M5 by 60 D shafts. We'll need one of those. It does call out that all of the washers will be the M5 by 8 by 1 brass washers, so that's nice. It'll be nice just having to use one washer type. Looks like we're going to need 4 of these. Well, let's see if we can power build one of these real fast. So we're going to start on the end here. I've already got the bearing in. Let me bring you guys a little up front, close and personal. Hopefully I can do this without dropping you guys. Okay. So we've got our bearing in here. We're coming in from this side, it looks like. D shaft goes through bearing, facing up. We're going to get one of our 1mm washers on said D shaft after we drop it 2 or 3 times and give up and just use tweezers. Because why should we continue to do it the hard way? Yeah, that worked. Okay. Yeah. So we're going through here. We've got our 1 millimeter washer in. Now we're going to need our whatchamacallit, our pulley. We're going to need to get some of our Loctite on our set screws. Easier to do it now than later. It'll be kind of a tight fit, so I got to pull this back out. Hopefully without jumping it off of the washer. There we go. I'm just going to put it all the way. Oh, don't tighten the washer yet, or the pulley yet, because we actually need to get it fully in place. So what I'm going to do, because I need to get another washer in there, is I'm going to push that all the way through, put a washer on there, or get a washer going on there. Make sure to go on. Yep. We're going to take another 625 bearing and get that on there as well. And then we're going to need another 1 millimeter M5 washer. So we'll get that on there. Britt's live? Okay. Well, she probably just went live. I'm sure she'll be live for just a tad bit before she gets on there. And then we're going to need our main gear here. It does have set screws in it. It has provisions for set screws, and no set screws are in it, so we will add set screws to it. And yay, set screws go running all over the place. And we'll thread locker on the set screws. And yeah, Chris, we will be heading over there in just a short minute. Okay. Set screws ready to set. Critical, critical, critical. Put your closed loop belt on your pulley before you go any further. We've had enough sad day events without making me cry again. So we'll push that through. And now comes the fun part, because we need to get another 1 mil washer in here. And I'm probably going to fiddle with this a little bit off screen. We'll see. Yep, just drop that. That's going to be fun. think I have it lined up. And it moved, which was nice of it. But it still stayed captured, so if I can pull it back into place. Yes. I think, yep, we got it there. Whew. So, what we need to do is, before pushing this in all the way, I need to hold this, and I want to line up my pulleys so at least one of their set screws is facing up, which is where the flat of my shaft is. Now I need to push my shaft all the way in, right? And then I will need to, you notice when I did that, this 625 bearing moved out a bit because everything kind of shifted left. So holding my finger there, I need to pull this pulley back across, make sure I'm even Stevens, and then I need to tighten this against the D shaft. Okay, just like that. Now I need to take this, kind of push it back over to get that big bearing back in place. There may be a little play here, which is interesting because it does call for single washers there. There is a bit of play, but knowing that this one's up against the flat, I want to make sure that this one's lined up with, this set screw's lined up with that one. And then I can tighten this one in, and that's going to put it right at the flat as well. Okay. Then I can rotate both of these and tighten their second screws, or their second set screws, which is going to go up against the round side of the shaft. Then once again, your belt is going to get lined up here, and it will go through your motor. So we just need to make sure that it's here and in place. And having that locked in, it's not going to be able to move. But we will have the ability to unlock this and move this ever so slightly if we need to line up with the pulley down here once we go and get the motor pulley inserted. Now with that, we are right at 9 o'clock. Britt started. We are going to jump over to Britt. What I may do off stream is just get these other two to this same point. And then we will continue building the rest of them up on Thursday. And I will reprint the parts that need to be reprinted so that we have that stuff ready to go for Thursday's stream. And with that, I'm going to switch back over here. And thank you guys so much again for being with me. Thank you, Turtle Crawler, for all of the help and the recommendations through this build. I understand that this is a very complex and complicated build. And like I said, it wouldn't be a build without having to stop and rebuild things. I did it a lot on the 0G, especially just putting the frame together because there was no manual. I just had cut sheets and that was it. So trying to figure out how to put things together, I had to take it apart three times. But okay, so I'm going to get the raid going. Let me see if Twitch is going to be kind and give me the raid to Creatix Britt. Of course not. Creatix Britt, there she is. Come with me. Like I said, we're going to go and hang out with her and Michael Laws tonight. Thank you guys for being here. I will see you Thursday. and we will continue with the build. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. There we go. Right now.